Baby dolls, advanced topic today. It's called mercy. The market does show mercy, but it's a language and it has a particular way that it shows mercy. And you have to understand it really to grasp what you're in for from now to the day you finally leave this earth. As an investor, we are playing with human emotions and we only focus on the fear part. You know, where the whole part where everything goes to zero? We always focus on that and we always talk about pain, punishment, depression, anger, fear, panic, anxiety, all this. But we don't talk about the mercy the market gives. And it's sad that not everyone knows this, but even if you told everyone this, they wouldn't believe it. So if I could just start with an example. So on this chart here, we have Bitcoin and I have the two previous cycles. So I know it looks a bit messy. The yellow is the fractal of 2018 bear market, 1 year. And the red is the 2014 fractal. That's why it's red. It went on the longest. If you look now, we have actually, yes, this is now officially the longest bear market in crypto history. So congratulations, yay, you're dead with everyone else, minus 95%. Who cares, right? But I want to start with a real example. Okay, I don't know if you've heard of this term equity in a relationship. So let's say a man and a woman. Relationships don't work off equity. And an example is just because you do 10 good things for a partner does not mean the partner will get a scoreboard and write down the 10 amazing things you've done and feel 10 times great. Unfortunately, a lot of people take stuff for granted. And what happens is you can't use that in the future. So you can't draw equity from a relationship. So a guy and a girl are dating. Just because the guy has wrote her a love poem and did 10 good things for her, she's not going to look back in in 6 months and go, wow, he's done 10 good things for me. I value him 10 times more. Relationships don't work like that. We all know that doesn't work like that. In markets, they actually do, but in a different way. So you can simplify it as when you go through a lot of pain, the market does recover you nicely. It does. It's actually beautiful. It's like, hey, for all your troubles, we'll throw you a bone here. It does. So in relationships, there is no relationship equity. You can't build your good points on one side and draw it. You can't do that. But in markets, you can. And let me show you how. So I've got the Bitcoin fractal, remember, here. And I want you to think about the China ban with me. Let's go. Do you remember the China ban? This is when Elon Musk said, yeah, I'm not too keen on Bitcoin anymore. You remember that, right? This is equity building for us. This was a rinsing, weak hands rinsed. Part 1. Okay, this was the first rinsing of weak hands right here in this period. And yes, we did rinse again in the second part. We did. But the second part was now rinsing of weak hands, part 2. And they stack. Believe it or not, in markets, they actually stack. It's actually beautiful. But it does not mean we're just going to, oh yeah, let's just pump straight away. It doesn't work like that. It does not work like that. In markets, on one side, you pay for your sins of euphoria. On the other side, you do get rewarded for your loyalty. You do. So we rinsed 2 sessions of weak hands. This China ban was really, really, really strong, man. This was really strong. And believe it or not, we're like so much lower than it anyway, right? But I remember this was really tough. Really tough. This wiped a lot of weak hands. So you can go to our scoreboard for the whole cycle of the bear market, and you can add some points to it. And now we had the GPC, the Great Ponzi Collapse of 2022. That was part 2. 3AC, Luna, UST, SPF, FTX, everything, right? All went to 0. This does add equity, I believe. I've seen markets long enough. I've seen enough charts. I've put so many pieces of the puzzle together. And here I am giving you this high value content to tell you it does. But at the very beginning of this video, I said it does not mean just, green candles tomorrow. It doesn't mean that. It means we get thrown a bone in a different way. And now, if I'm just put out my thoughts as to how we get thrown a bone, I think, right, it's gonna land somewhere in the middle of recovering up only, drifting, right? Where it the recovery path is so much lighter than in the previous cycles because of all the pain we went through. That's what I think is going to be the path forward. So when we're looking at this and the equity, I want us to think, hey man, not only have we had one big session of rinsing, there's been 2. And in previous markets, we didn't have that. We didn't. Let's go back and actually check. Right, we can actually go back and check. In the cycles, we did not have 2 rinses. The closest one was the double bubble scenario here. This was rinse number 1 and rinse number 2. You can say this, but you still made on your Bitcoin 10x. You made everyone 10x richer. So was this a proper rinsing? That is something you're going to have to think to yourself. I would say there were elements of it because it did wipe out weak hands, but I think this was such a short time that it's something you're going to have to wrestle with. I don't think it's as powerful as the pain we've gone through today, but it still is pain. Still is pain, okay? We'll give him that. Right? And look what the market did. If we look at the Mt. Gox cycle, right? Look what the market did after. Let's get our cute little brush. Look what the market did after, right? So because of all your pain, the market literally went, you deserve so much friendship. And we're not stopping here. They're like, the friendship is only just getting started. Woohoo! Look how much friendship you got for all that pain. Equity. Remember the equity example I gave. Relationships don't work like that, but the markets do. Okay? Moving on. In this cycle, the pain had to be paid as a price because of this too much euphoria. All right? That's just how it works. But look what happened in our cycle here. We barely got anything, man. We barely got anything. So this is nothing, man. This is nothing. This chart is nothing. We have had a very, very, very long time now of pain. And here's the sad part, right? So what breaks most of our hearts is when people start the bear market, they start it from the 69K top. That's where they start it from. They start it from here, which hurts. It does hurt, right? Because we know the China ban was really bad, man. This was not good at all. This was really, really bad. This was like 5 months. So if you were to have like an equity count, I would say we've far exceeded the past. Because, if we quickly go back again to the previous cycles, right? The previous cycles, look at the pain. Look, yeah, this was pain, but you still went up. This was pain, but you still went up. What about on the way to the 2017 cycle? The 2017 cycle for Bitcoin, you literally did 100x. 100x, okay, for the whole market cap of all of crypto. And when we finally came back down, you paid the price. You really paid the price. But this part was pretty good too. That's a proper Ponzi echo bubble recovery, right? That's like, hey man, you've gone through a lot of pain. We'll throw you a bone here. So it makes us think, what's gonna come for us in the future now? Because I would say, you see this yellow box over here? I believe that gets added to our equity. And I also believe the abysmal, shocking 1 year on top of that down only, I think we can add them up. That's just how I think. I think we've never seen anything like this before, and we haven't. So if you add, let's be fair here, if you add the 2 months of May to July, May, June, July. Yeah, so you add like 4 months here. It's like you had a bear market that lasted this long. Super long. Like going into March next year, man, we've never seen anything like that before. So on our board, the equity board, I believe that we will be graced with some mercy. That's the title of this video. We are going to get some mercy. And the language of the market is not, let's just give you giant green big fat dildo candles right now. It doesn't work like that. We have surpassed 2014 here, done. Right? We're way worse than that. We have definitely crushed 2018, done. So we have had less returns and the longest bear market time, you know. Now, we're not entitled to anything, but it just in my experience, when the markets give you so much pain, there is glory. There is glory. And in my opinion, the most critical part of this will come in the form of a return to where I think fair value is for crypto. That's why I believe, because of the pain we've gone through, I don't think we're going to do this. I don't think it's going to be a small, low, do that. I just don't think that. Because I think we've suffered too much pain. Way too much pain. And I could be wrong. Remember, we could have the worst yet to come. But I just feel that with the amount of equity we've built, we should not be surprised if Bitcoin somehow finishes next year in the channel. Which is anywhere from 35K to 55K. I think that's what we kind of like deserve for the pain, if you know what I mean. Because in the past cycles, this cycle, Bitcoin gave you 100x and it retraced so that so it was only 35-40% down from the high. So we got to think, man, with the amount of pain we got, you know what 40% down from the high is? Yeah, it's back to about 40K. So I don't want you to bet on this. I don't want you to take leverage or anything out. I'm just warning against believing that the worst is yet to come every step of the way, even if the economy turns and whatever, right? I just want to also add, there is still a possibility we're not done with the pain. There's still a possibility, you know? And maybe when that happens, it's literally like that. You know, maybe something shocking like that happens. That can happen. That looks like the chart of 2018, you know? Where it's like, you know what, we're going to give you the worst pain of your life, more than you can wildly imagine, even more than now, and then we're going to reward you. So this is the language of the markets. It's how they work, right? It's different to relationships. It does, for some reason, it does pay you. I don't know why. Some of my theories come from because it's human emotion and it's a pendulum, and the pendulum can never stay at 0 or 100 forever. You cannot be depressed forever. You can't be euphoric forever. You eventually get a new normal and then it swings the other way, right? So it's a pendulum that's swinging and then it'll swing back the other way and then swing, right? That's how I think, you know, it's actually like an oscillator. Like euphoric, I want to kill myself. Euphoric, yay, no, it's over again. That's what I think is really, that's why what happens there, you know? And because it's like human emotion overrides rationality, I feel like the extremes here and here, this is where people basically, they're represented by market orders, right? And they don't care. They will click market irrespective of any value they may give. They got to get in up here and they have to get out down here. And they got to get in, they got to hit market. That's it. They have to get in, they have to get in now. None of this let's leave bid stuff. So that's why I think this is a pendulum. That's why it doesn't work like relationship and equities, right? So, two people are dating, a guy and a girl are dating. When if a girl is super depressed, for example, it's unlikely she will say to her boyfriend, I'm depressed, but I remember all the euphoric times and the stuff we did. I will now balance my happiness and I will I will now start to love you more. It doesn't work like that. It does not work like that. Completely the opposite of how markets work. So it is a very, very interesting thing. Very interesting thing to think about. So could be copium, could be hopium. I always like to draw scenarios. Yes, it could be the worst is yet to come. That can still happen. Oh, yeah, worst is yet to come. Everything was right. Okay, there's that scenario. There is we're just going to do 2014, We're just going to do that. There is that part. If you remember in my previous video as well, in every single Bitcoin cycle, before the Bitcoin halvening here, it retraces and taps minus 40% down from the top, which will be about 40K. Actually, let me get the fib, just to get the proper number, from the high to the low. 48,000. So between now and April, May 2024, Bitcoin will have tapped 24,000. And we don't know if it's going to give it to us early and then die down. That's what happened in 2019. We don't know if it's actually just going to get there right before. That's 2014. Okay, so that's 2014. I'll just leave the other one. That's 2018. And then, yeah, if you notice, they actually end up in the same area. They end up in the same area, just their path's different. 2014 was slower and it glides up. 2019 cycle, the previous one, was a front run of it. Right? So that's just the few elements to think about. What's going on? How do you act from here? If you want strategy, you don't need to look any further than, if you're not buying here, I don't know what you're buying for. We're on the cusp of economic destruction. The Fed's going to have to hold rates. The pivot comes and then the U-turn comes. All of this is lining up. And if I could just add any more conviction, please don't forget the equity, man. You rinse. So another way to think about it is, you rinsed a lot of people here. There are people who were destroyed here, who are unable to sell down here because they're gone already. They left in 2021. That's another way to think about it. We healed the market a bit earlier than usual. That's another way how you can think of this. Equity builds up in markets. When you get so much pain, you flush out one way, right? And, I'm going to finish off with some history. Let's go have a look at the baby doll S&P 500. Let's put it on the monthly. The baby doll S&P 500 in this period, 1988, so you had the crash. This was technology and internet. Do you see how it went up only? And because it went up only, you now pay for your sins. You pay for your sins. So that's why a lot of people now believe, hey, remember, it's equity, right? If we give you too much of a good time, that's why people believe there will be another reckoning. That's where it comes from. They think, for the next 10 years, pain, pain, pain. That's where people get this idea from. In the past, there has been elements like this. This is the Great Depression. I'm going to draw it down for you. This is the Great Depression. That's exactly the line, okay? So after the Great Depression, remember before the Great Depression was the Great Roaring 2020s. You can kind of see the pendulum pattern here, right? So the Great Depression as well. After the Great Depression, you had all the 40s, all the 50s, all the 60s. You had 20 to 30 years of we are going to the moon, baby. And this is where you bring in the Arthur Burns era of, let's go all the way to 1979. The Arthur Burns era of central banking for the US Fed, where he let inflation run hot for too long. Okay, and then we finally cleared that. Paul Volcker comes, and then we start again. Woohoo! Up only. So remember the equity thing. Remember the equity thing. We're going to go back. Remember Bitcoin. Bitcoin's equity. Bitcoin's equity. We had a lot of equity built up from all the damage. That's why I think don't rule out anything for 2023. Because, you know what? I have seen so many polls. Everyone says absolutely negative 20% chance that we break all-time high in 2023. That's everyone's thought. Everyone's thought is that. And I'm not saying we will break all-time highs. I don't think we will either. I'm just saying that if we start to get a run, it might be more powerful than you think. Because, you know, all these people here, all these people who are in the negative 20% chance we're going to break all-time high in 2020, is zero. We're less than zero. These people can go from, I hate crypto in the world, in their view, and they can now, up in this arrow part, they'll go like, oh, I can't believe I doubted you. We are here for the righteous cause. That switch is very, very, very powerful. And that's why they might get bull trapped all over again. That's why, right? So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for these key switches where people, like everyone's giving up hope here, but we're looking for this moment where maybe everything's struggling along and then we're looking for that switch where everyone's like, oh, maybe we do break all-time high faster than I think. Once we start to see that, I will then be making some very destructive videos and telling you, hey man, you get your portfolio, I'm going to take 25% out. I'm going to take 25% out. I think we've used all the equity, all the equity from here, I think we've used enough because the price is between 40 and 50K. We almost don't really deserve to be here. I'm going to be thinking that, and I'm going to be saying, if we get out 25%, I want you to now think, okay, if I'm wrong and we triple, you win anyway. But if I'm right, and there is some sort of, oh no, we shouldn't have gone this far, right? If that happens, you have fresh money to buy the fear of the tourists exiting once again. Until next time, friends, I love yous. I'll see you soon.